Hi, this is Melanie for the Pardesi channel. I'm here to talk about the Netflix original series, Sacred Games. This excellent miniseries is groundbreaking for Indian media because it is a streaming platform, because it's on Netflix. All the usual rules about every single film having to go through a censor board that is so extremely strict that only recently were any kissing allowed in films. All the shackles are off, and these filmmakers were able to do everything that they wanted to do. This is aimed at an international audience, not only an Indian audience. The Netflix is doing a really interesting thing where they've kind of saturated the American market, and obviously they put a lot of new material just in the United States, original series, all sorts of programming that, is for American audience, but is gone global. I mean, things like even like Queer Eye or something like that, which I know has a worldwide reach. So not only are they creating their own American content, but they're trying to expand into all of these other countries. And so they're creating original content, but content that they know would appeal to American audiences and British audiences and so forth. So for instance, the series Narcos, which is a Spanish language series, but that's become very popular in the United States too. I haven't seen that, but I'm just saying they're developing all these international brands. So the director, Vikramaditya Motwane, who has directed amazing films like Lutera and I liked his recent superhero film, Bhavesh Joshi. He has worked closely with the producer Anurag, who is also a noted director in Hindi cinema. He has done epic movies like Gangs of Wasseypur. So evidently the story is that Vikramaditya Motwane was in LA, took a meeting with Netflix, and they presented to him the idea of adapting this Indian novel of the same name as the series called Sacred Games. And evidently this is quite a doorstopper of a novel. It's like over 900 pages or something. So I thought that this was just a one season and a one-shot stop thing, but no, the 8 episodes that are on Netflix right now that came out at the beginning of July are just maybe a quarter of the book at most. So the interesting thing is that this is 2 directors working together on the same series, and it has some of the finest actors in Indian cinema. And the way that they divided the labor is that Vikramaditya Motwane is doing the present day, starring Saif Ali Khan as wanting to be good cop surrounded by a corrupt police environment and so forth. So Saif Ali Khan is a big movie star and he has never done any television. So that's amazing on its own. It's sort of like Matthew McConaughey doing an HBO series, right? I mean, it's the same kind of like, oh wow, this is going to be quality television. And then Nawazuddin Siddiqui is one of the finest, if not the finest actor in Indian cinema. And Anurag Kashyap directed him in Gangs of Wasseypur, one of his most famous films. Nawaz Siddiqui is one of my favorite actors. He's just amazing. I think this role was tailor-made for him. He has played these kind of gangster lord roles before, and he's just so good at it. So Anurag Kashyap directed all of the flashback scenes of how this gangster lord played by Nawaz grew from his childhood up into becoming one of the gang overlords of Bombay. The miniseries starts with a bang. You see this fluffy white fur drop from several stories up in an apartment building and splat. So it's a dog that has been thrown off thrown off a balcony, and the opening line is something like, "Do you believe in God? God doesn't give an F." So it starts already with language that would not fly through for the censors, and also just how dark it is. Anurag Kashyap is famous for doing these kind of noir gangster thrillers, and so he just is so good. And evidently they looked and searched for real locations in Mumbai that would have the feel of the period that has kind of stayed the same of that period time. This cop played by Saif Ali Khan, Sartaj Singh, so he is a Sikh, so he has a turban. And he gets a phone call out of the blue from this gangster who said, I owed your father, and, something is going to happen in 25 days. So we're on a countdown clock. We don't know if it's a bomb. We don't know what might be happening. And so it's a race against time. And Sartaj Singh, could this be real? This gangster has been out of pocket, they thought out of the country for the last 15 years. And so half of it is kind of narrating his whole life story. In the first episode, when we see his childhood, the little boy that plays Nawaz Siddiqui as a child is the same little actor that was in the film Lion. Sunny Pawar, that's the name of the little child actor. Oh, amazing. I was so pleased to see him again. And the funny thing is, in the film Lion, Nawaz Siddiqui played, a bad guy and so he played opposite this little child actor, Sunny. I expected Nawaz to be great. I expected Saif Ali Khan to be great. But I was amazed at the women actresses in this 8-part series. Radhika Apte plays a raw agent. So she's doing this, I don't know if that's kind of the equivalent of the FBI, but anyway, she is investigating terrorists and she's trying to put all the pieces together. And then we have Saif Ali Khan being in the police, corrupt elements don't want him to work with her, but he's trying to help her investigation and so forth. And then there is this amazing character in the older section with Nawaz Siddiqui. This character's name is Cuckoo, which evidently was a very minor character in the book itself, but they kind of amplified it in the writing of the scripts for this miniseries. So this is all kind of very noir. She's like the gun moll. She's the girlfriend of one gangster, and then Nawaz Siddiqui's gangster covets her and wants her to be, he feels like that will be his success, is to have her as his girlfriend. I'm not going to spoil the surprise about Cuckoo, but Kubra Sait steals the entire series as far as I'm concerned. She plays Cuckoo, and to go up against a great actor like Nawaz Siddiqui and steal the whole thing, that is really something. She had done something in Sultan, but this is like a breakout role for her. This series is very noir. In some ways it will feel very familiar to American audiences, sort of this Scorsese kind of crime milieu, but it has all of the local flavors, the local touches. You don't need to necessarily understand all of the background or the conflict between Hindus and Muslims and so forth that happened in Bombay to get it, but there are extra shades, I think, of things. There was a controversy over, there's some line that Saif Ali Khan, Sartaj Singh's cop, makes some sort of disparaging remark about a past prime minister. I think it was, so calling him it was like, in the subtitles, like he was calling them a pussy. So that had gotten some controversy in the press in India, but again, there's no censor board, there was no film board. That is kind of blown over, but this is edgy for the whole Indian cinema kind of world. And I love it that Anurag and Vikramaditya Motwane were able to just do what they wanted to do. It's such great production values. I mean, Netflix just throws money at everybody to get all these great things made. Everybody should watch it. It's just really good television, very binge-worthy. I watched it over a few nights. It's 8, like I said, it's 8, about 1 hour episodes each. There are twists, there are turns, but mostly the performances are amazing. And then towards that last episode, we get a hint of what might be to come. And one of my favorite character actors, Pankaj Tripathi, plays this sort of mysterious guru character. And We see just a little bit of him in that last episode, and that leads into wondering, I think he's going to have a more central role in the next season. And I'm just excited from what everyone said that the script writers, Vikram Chandra wrote the original book, and then the adaptation, Varun Grover, who is amazing and wrote the script for Masan, and he's a famous lyricist as well. Smita Singh and Vasant Nath all worked on the scripts. Amazing, amazing scripts. Each chapter, I mean, the name of it is Sacred Games, and each chapter has a specific, I had to look up the title words because they had to do with Hindu mythology, or they meant immortal or whatever. So this gangster character, played by Nawazuddin Siddiqui, thinks he's like bigger than God. And so a lot of it is imagery around that. You don't need to know that to watch it, what the words mean to watch it. But I just love that there's so many little layers there, and it gives you hints, the chapter name, of what the episode might be about. But it was just fun to look up after the fact too. So I highly recommend. If you've never seen Indian cinema, you don't need to have to watch it. It's just good television. It's available to listen. You can hear it in the Hindi dialogue with subtitles, which is the way that I watched it. And I felt like the subtitles were really very good. Or it's dubbed, I think, at least in English, and I think a couple of other languages. So that's great. You can, if you don't like to read subtitles, there's other ways to enjoy it. But I felt like I wanted to hear the actors' own voices, so I watched it with the Hindi audio and the subtitles. Highly, highly, highly recommend you watch this Netflix series. And I'm excited that we're going to have more of this great kind of content. This arms race between Amazon Prime and Netflix is only great for us as viewers, because Amazon Prime gave us Madhavan and Amit Saad in Breathe, which is another miniseries that I can highly recommend. And I think there's just more of this kind of great content that's going to be coming out on Netflix and Amazon Prime. And that's just really exciting, because it allows more freedom of creativity and a little bit more out of the box with some of the great actors that we're familiar with from Indian cinema. So it's very exciting. If you like this film review, please press that like button, share it, follow us on Twitter at PardesiYT, subscribe to the Pardesi channel, and if you hit the bell, then you'll get a notification whenever I have a new trailer reaction or film review.